you have to model that personal ownership, because the second, the board comes to you and you point to like, well, Jim's, that's really his job, but Jim works for you. I don't think so. Like, that's your responsibility.
Visionary Leader here with Jim Robinson. We have Sean Patton, and today, this is episode 2. You're going to want to go back and pick up that first one. There's some juice in that first one, man. I've journaled a couple of pages. Sean Patton threw down some value bombs, giant content that you guys need. And here comes episode 2. This is really a warrior's mindset for the human-centered leadership. Sean Patton with us today. We got to go. We got to dig in deep. We're going to have just a few minutes. We're going to ask some juice stuff. We're going to kick this thing up. Get episode 1. There's so many value bombs in there. You're going to need to get that stuff. Mm-hmm. What does a warrior's mindset mean in leadership context today? A warrior's mindset. Let's go, man. Warrior's mindset. This is Sean Patton, the warrior from a hell of a time in our life. Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iraq, crazy stuff over there. This guy's the warrior. Let's talk about that. Warrior's mindset mean in leadership context today. What does that sound like, Sean?
So I define a warrior as someone who fights for a noble cause greater than themselves. And I have a couple beliefs around that. One is, if I had to, it's basically a similar context to overlay it. If I change the words, I would say that leadership is the same thing. A leader is someone who's striving for a noble purpose greater than themselves. It's not just about you, your selfish gratification. You're inspiring others to follow you towards something. And I think the reason I love the word warrior, and the reason I titled my book A Warrior's Mindset, is because we are the descendants of warriors and explorers and conquerors. Like, the people who came before us, who were too scared to like leave the cave or, go out and find food or hunt or, survived warring tribes and climate change, everything else. Like, they didn't procreate. Like, we didn't come from that stock. We came from the people who crossed the ocean, not knowing what's on their side of it, who won the wars, who did all, like, that's who we are. And that's why I think it's inherent in us as human beings that we are drawn to and we feel fulfilled when we are fighting for a noble cause greater than ourselves. And I think we have some of the biggest companies in the world right now putting all their money telling us something else, that fulfillment can be found in selfish gratification, in the bigger heart, the bigger car, the, working, 30 minutes a day and going on OnlyFans and like whatever else it is, right? Like that's enough. And I think we have a generation that's figuring out very quickly that's not enough, because that's not who we are as human beings.
Got to get out of the cave.
Got to get out of the cave, man.
Get out.
That's where that growth, that's where that fulfillment comes from. Is it's not about the destination, right? It's about the journey of getting there. I use the example of jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I own a couple of jiu-jitsu gyms and I'm a black belt and trained since 2009. Still teach classes, taught 6 a.m. this morning. And I can tell all the time, like, if you want a jiu-jitsu black belt, like, you can go in for like $15 on Amazon. Like, just go buy one, throw it on. Like, if you just want a black belt, like, if that's the thing we give you. It's a piece of cloth. Like, go throw it on. But it means nothing because of you didn't have the journey. I could go get you a replica of the NBA championship trophy and give it to you. You can put it up in your office. It means nothing. The end result means nothing. And it really is the journey to get it that gives it value in the first place.
It's the opportunity to get there. It's that blood, sweat, and tears to get there. And that's the achievement, not the actual paper, the trophy, the piece. Yeah, wow. Here's a good one. This is going to align really well. A Green Beret, guys, listen to this. How do you help leaders separate intensity? Come on now. Intensity, a Green Beret, come on. How intense can that guy get? I'm like staring in his face. He's just going to stare you down till you melt. From clarity. They're not the same.
Mm-mm.
How do we help leaders separate intensity? Because intensity isn't leadership. Intensity from clarity.
Mm-hmm.
How do we do that?
Yeah, I think that, clarity as a leader just comes down to ensuring we have alignment on outcome, ensuring we have alignment on agreements and expectations, and clarity is king. Intensity is just one tool in a tool belt. And there's moments where intensity in different forms is needed and desired. I recently saw uh, I think it was what was the name of the Indiana football coach who just won the national championship, and they're interviewing him, and he was talking about, you know, when the team was super hype and excited, and just like he was just stone cold chilling, and then other times when they were kind of down, he was in people's faces, and so what he was saying is like it's my job to always bring the team back to level.
Yeah.
So there might be moments where like you as a leader need to bring energy, need to bring intensity. And intensity can mean a lot of things. It can also just mean like focus. It can just be like, hey, forget 98 of the 100 things we have to do. These two things matter for the next month, and we're going to get after it. And maybe that's needed. And that could be intensity in the moment.
Yeah.
But if you, just like any tool, if you go back to that tool every day without letting it rest and taking care of it and sharpening it, it gets old. And so I know for myself, as a leader, I wasn't like yelling in people's faces. I wasn't, I was laid back, even keel all the time until there was a moment I didn't need to be. And because I reserved intensity for those key moments, those key decisive times, when I brought it, it got the response I wanted. But if I had tried to use that tool every time, every day, it would not have been as effective.
Boy crying wolf.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Same story, man. Wow. I'm glad I learned that one when I was a little kid. Yeah, the intensity thing is like even because we're in the service repair business. Years ago, I used to be in the flood and fire business. And when they called and they said, my house just burnt down or my building burnt down, you had to match it. You literally had to go up there with them and they say, I'm going to call you right back. And then you call back in 5 minutes and now you brought it back down. You say, well, here's what I have. We're going to get this thing scheduled. Here's what it looks like. And then they come back down here with you. And now we're back at level. And the intensity was up there, but you had to bring it back down here. You can't work in an intensity. You can get a result, one or two, but you got to bring it down. Now we can manage things again. You got to bring it back down to level, man. I like that stuff. Leaders unintentionally create tension or confusion. This is great. Where do you see leaders unintentionally create tension or confusion for their people?
When you don't track taskings and workload, you very easily create tension and confusion, and so I'm trying to be super, tactical on this one. What I encourage leaders to do is, have that quarterly planning meeting, have everyone locked in for whatever it is, and then they have their task to go execute. And that's in a box now. Just because you read an article in the Wall Street Journal or go listen to a podcast doesn't mean you get to change everybody's priorities tomorrow. And if you do, cool. If that is going to be a priority, the question I would always ask is, what are you taking away? And so, I had a great, I had a battalion commander one time in the military, and a rucksack's like the military backpack we'd wear, called rucksack. And we were talking about, he was using this analogy, and he said, an okay leader will get you as much equipment as he can to use. A great, a even better leader will work hard to get you the latest, greatest equipment to use. And the best leader will be the one who takes the equipment out of your rucksack that he knows he doesn't need. Right? So it's like making them lighter and more efficient and taking things away can be the most powerful thing you can do. And I would challenge you to say, How many times, if you're a manager or a leader right now, when you give a tasking out, are you saying, this is coming to you and this is what I'm taking off your plate? Or are you just piling it on? And now they don't know what's important and what isn't.
Wow. Yeah, if everything's important, nothing is.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Leaders unintentionally and attention in the confusion space. That's it, man. What role does personal ownership play healing team culture? Wow. Personal ownership. Well, how does that play a role healing the team culture? So you get these coaches, executive coaches, they go in because they need to shift the culture of a company.
Mm-hmm.
Could be something that was never clear. Now we're going to develop it. That's how do we do that? I mean, the personal ownership of that. What does that look like?
Well, first of all, the concept of ownership is maybe one of the most critical cultural changes that you need to have in an organization to be successful. And it's the one that leaves a lot to be desired. And the fact that you answered the question, or you asked the question here around personal ownership, in some ways sort of answers the question. If you can get, as a leader, okay, is your first response with the C-suite, with the board, with your team, we didn't hit numbers, we failed in this thing, or whatever happened, the best thing you can do is show up and tell them, here's what happened and here's what I'm owning. I'm owning this. I'm owning my response to this. I'm owning the fact that we set goals, or we didn't anticipate this market shift, or whatever it might be, right? Like, but you have to model that personal ownership, because the second, the board comes to you and you point to, like, well, Jim's, that's really his job, but Jim works for you. I don't think so. Like, that's your responsibility, right? Like, so you could say, we're going to own that as a team, and I'm going to own a certain part of it. And then also create a culture around ownership where everyone is, when things come up or things happen, you're going to ask them what part of it they're going to own. I work with clients a lot, and, they'll say, well, this person on my team, I'm trying to, I've had a few recent examples of things like this where, this person on my team was supposed to call this client and tell them that we weren't going to meet because they're not a good fit. And so they were supposed to make that call, but it was going to be kind of like a confrontational, uncomfortable call. And turns out they didn't cancel the meeting, and the person was going to show up to, like, have a client meeting when they shouldn't have done it. And the answer was like, well, it was going to be kind of uncomfortable to have this conversation on the phone. I thought it'd be better for us to do it in person. So, like, I kind of didn't do it. And so they were like, he didn't make the call. He failed. He did that. And I'm like, what part of this are you going to own? Like, is this the first time this ever happened? No, it's been a pattern. Yeah. Okay, so you've had this pattern that you haven't addressed. What part of that are you going to own? And they're like, how? What do you want? What are you going to own moving forward? And so we created a plan a way to do that.
Very cool. I know we got to wrap up here. I'm going to pose a quick question here, and we'll close this out, and then we're going to find out how to get a hold of Sean Patton. For those of you that need to reach out to him, you need some coaching, you need some expert advice. We're going to let you get a hold of Sean and figure this out. But how do leaders challenge their people to strengthen their confidence? Good Lord, we got some people that may not have confidence on the team. How do we challenge these leaders, challenge to strengthen our team confidence and commitment? How do we get that to go higher? What do we do?
It's interesting. I think on both of those, we had a conversation, I think, earlier about agreements. And so what's coming up for me here is, there's so many parts of this, like pouring into people and giving the tools and resources to be successful and all of that. But ultimately, are you having them actually agree to and make commitments that you're going to hold them to? And are you doing the same thing? And then are you giving them the tools to be successful in that? So if we mentioned this earlier, like if I give someone a goal, or I give someone, and like they they don't know how to accomplish it, and we don't have a culture of supporting them in the training, and they fall through, their confidence is going to suffer. Maybe they're not committed to the job or role. I mean, so I think there's a few parts of this, but the thing I would say is like, if you want commitment as a whole, you have to invest in them first. Like, trust and respect has to go down in an organization before it'll ever come back up. So you don't expect it if you're not giving it. So trust and respect them enough, making sure that you're, giving them tasks early where they can get wins and they feel supported. And you're having conversations about are you making a commitment about, like, here's what I'm going to accomplish. What resources do you need for me to accomplish it? Provide them those resources and then hold them to a standard. And that's how you intertwine and gain confidence from performance, and you get commitment because you're giving it commitment to the mission, because you're giving it. And you mentioned like love, like giving without the expectation of getting it back. You're going to give it first before you get it. And then sort of like little c commitment is like having them actually commit to some task that they're agreeing to. It's like any client call I have, like we'll talk about a whole bunch of things. We'll get into whatever. It could be strategy, it could be mindset, it could be culture, it could be, blind spots or limiting beliefs, like whatever it is. Okay, cool. What commitments do you want to make around this?
Yeah.
What are you going to do about it and by when? And then let's write it down and let's track it. Yeah, let's take action. Action does so much. Just like does so much.
And it can be incremental. New guy on the team, new gal on the team, incremental. Get the commitment. Congratulate the win, reward it, reward the behaviors you want, keep celebrating the wins, have an event to celebrate in some cases, but keep celebrating the wins, build their confidence. You don't always have confidence going in, but you still got to go in. Mm-hmm. And to win, you've got to be built up, and that takes commitment to win. Guys, visionary leader Jim Robinson here. We had Sean Patton today. You're going to have to listen to the show. Push rewind on your little 8-track and your cassette tape there. Go all the way back to the beginning and listen to what Sean had to offer today with lots of content. Sean, how do people reach out to you? How do we get in touch with you?
I appreciate the opportunity, Jim. It's been great. I'm on LinkedIn, so reach out on LinkedIn. My website is seanpatton.me. Check me out there. And my email, I guess would be the easiest way, is seanpatton@novus.global. And I'd love to have a conversation, help you clarify vision for you, vision for the team, do some training to create the culture that helps them accomplish a thrilling vision that everyone can get motivated around.
Everybody gets excited about. Awesome. Sean, thanks for being with us today. It's great meeting you. Loved the conversation. 3 pages deep today in my journal. I got a ton of content. Value bombs dropped on me today. I love this content. I got some juicy pieces that we're going to implement some of this and start rolling things out differently. Thanks for being here, Sean. Appreciate your time.
Thanks so much, Jim. I appreciate it, bro.
Thank you.